it's not a positive energy and it's not a negative energy. And that's also kind of where the benefits occur, because it's a neutralizing energy. When you are exposing yourself to this like pure quantum energy, you are creating this very protective bubble wrap around your body, allowing you to be actually in a parasympathetic, because it will naturally put your body back into a parasympathetic. So you're kind of protecting yourself from any type of environmental external stressors like EMFs, mold, bacteria, stuff like that.
Well, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany, the podcast where science meets wisdom. I'm Brittany Ford, holistic nutritionist, biohacker, and mom. And for years, I struggled with gut issues, hormonal imbalances, and the exhaustion of motherhood while running a business. Biohacking and functional medicine became my way back to clarity, vitality, and trust in my body. And that's why I'm here, not just to share information, but to share the practices and perspectives that truly shifted my health and my life. Each week, I bring you science-backed tools, honest conversations, and rituals I live myself so you can return to your own body's wisdom and create longevity on your own terms. Because your body already knows this is just the space to remember. Welcome back to my 12 holiday rituals. Thank you for joining me. If you're new here, if you're new to listening, I am doing a massive giveaway for 12 days, the first 12 days of December. And you can win up to $5,500 worth of biohacking, longevity, and wellness products. I actually think it's the biggest giveaway I have ever done. So what you do is you go to the link below or link in my bio on my website, depends where you are, put your name in and follow all the little buttons that say like how to enter. You do have to follow the brands and then you get entered for all the giveaways. So there is a giveaway per day and you just enter once and then you are eligible for every single day. And there will be one winner per day, so 12 winners in total. I'm so excited. Giveaway is open until December 24th. The winners will be chosen on January 4th. So stay tuned for that. And it's so cool. Some of the brands that are involved in this are the best. Honestly, they're the best. Such interesting, like diverse set of products that we have this year. And I really think there is something for everyone there, which is really, really cool to see. And today is none other than Leela Quantum Tech. And I am so excited to have been able to talk to them again. I got to sit down with Todd Shipman, and I don't think Todd and I actually have spoken before, did an interview before this. I think I spoke to someone else from his team, but Todd is a dad of 6 kids, which is incredible. So we talked all about quantum energy and frequencies and the difference between those two. We talked about children and raising a family and how do we protect our kids from EMFs and radiation and what we can actually do in our environment that will make a difference, talking about the science, talking about the practical aspects of it. So I love this episode. Honestly, I really connect with parents now. And now that I am a parent, I just love really tying in the family aspect to it because I think family health and wellness is so huge. And so I haven't really talked about too much in terms of above and beyond, like maybe just like nutrition or like being active. And it's cool to kind of like take the conversation way further than that because that's kind of like what we are needing in our society today. So if you enter in the giveaway, you will be able to win. Let me pull up their prize. I actually think it's sitting behind me. So they have a round travel block, which is worth over $888. And you can, yeah, it's back in my corner back there if you're watching me on YouTube. So this is like this beautiful gold round block. You can put it in your car. That's where I have mine, except for right now. But usually I have it in my car. And basically it helps to reduce the amount of radiation and EMF that you are exposed to. It creates this like bubble around you of quantum energy. And we talk about this in the episode. Don't worry. Todd explains it really well, which I really appreciate. So we get all into that. But yeah, you could win that. That could be for you. Could be put in your house, your apartment, your car, anywhere that you want it, your underneath the crib, in your baby's nursery, anything like that. It's pretty remarkable products that they have. So check that out. If you want to try their products as well, I have a discount code BIOHACKINGBRITTANY. I have an affiliate link. You can check that out below. Please use it. Highly recommend it. And I have their, oh my gosh, I have a lot of their products. I have their 2 large blocks. One is next to my bed and one is next to the Wi-Fi router on the main floor. I have their necklace that has like their heal capsules in it, which kind of creates this like bubble around you no matter where you are, which I love, especially when you're traveling, going on planes, doing all the things. And now I have their travel block as well. And I think that might be it. And I have some of their cards. I take the card and I put it in the plants, in my plants. And it helps them grow in my mind. And we do talk about plants and how that all works on this episode as well. So thanks for listening. Please subscribe, leave a review, do all those things. If you've got questions, let me know. Send me a message on Instagram is where I'm easily the most active at BioHackingBrittany. And I will catch you tomorrow for another episode. Todd Shipman, welcome to the show. I am thrilled to have you, and I'm thrilled to dive into quantum healing and wellness as with Leela's products, which I've been using for a few years now. Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me, Brittany. I have followed you for so many years. I want to say 5 to 8 years, maybe. I mean, it's been really cool to see everything where you started. I don't remember the exact time I started, but I know you've been around for a very long time, and I've always been a fan. So it's awesome to be on your podcast. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Before we hopped on, you told me that you're a dad of 6, which I did not know. I'm a mom of 1. I don't know how you've done it 6 times. Talk to me about health and wellness for your kids and what role does it play today, like with their current ages?
Lead by example. Make everything fun. I remember my twins, gosh, like, they're 13 right now, but we started with like, even when they were, 4 and 5 years old, making things fun, never forcing anything on them, but making things interesting and making things playful. And all the way back to, I used to put things on my social media and I knew it really caused outrage for people, but like my 4 and 5-year-olds were eating raw liver. And they would talk about it. So I'd be like, what do you want? Would you like to eat this or this? And they're like, oh, I love raw liver, and I would do these stories on Instagram just to show people that it's like, and I have zero, they just follow us, right? I'm not telling them, hey, eat this behind the scenes. Them loving raw cheese and them loving to put raw, lamb meat, and then on the raw cheese is our favorite snack, and like just making things fun. And we'd go to the farm. We would purchase a whole cow. And we had one cow the girls named Homer. And every Sunday, we would go to this ranch and we would spend time with Homer. We would feed Homer, hang out with Homer, and just educate the girls. Like, listen, we're taking care and feeding Homer now for him to return and nourish us later. And very respectful, right? And having that interest when we're eating the whatever meat from Homer, the girls were fully aware of what we were doing, all of our kids. And it's just like, making this of like, this is why we're doing this. And we did the same thing where we hatched a turkey from egg or a hatchling all the way to harvesting it for Thanksgiving one year. And it's just a different experience of like fun. That's all it needs to be. But then they're always in control. Because you know what? If they want to have a piece of cake when they're 7, 8 years old, sure, have it. Like, okay, and then they get to feel the difference of like, okay, see how it kind of made you cranky and all that. And they're fully aware of that. There are times where I'm like, hey, girls, let's go to C's Candy. Dad, I've had too much sugar tonight. Yeah, I'm okay. It's like, okay, cool. At 13 years old, like, I want some chocolate right now. Let's go to C's Candy. No, it's okay, Dad. I've had sugar. I have a test tomorrow. It's mind blowing. And then, but not all of them are that way. We have a 15-year-old who's like, I want Taco Bell every day. I want this and that. So it's very different, but it's just, again, I think just like with us as adults, right? Leading by example, because I can sit here all day and regurgitate all this information to you, Brittany, but if you don't have any interest, then this bounces off of you. But if I can live in a way that you're asking me the questions about why I am the way I am, then there's that interest and there's an introduction. And I think that's really powerful with kids.
That's amazing that you've done that with your kids, like the food component. Because I mean, a lot of people will do the whole like, let's buy the seeds and have a little farm and garden and grow the carrots. And now we're cooking the carrots, which is amazing. It's still like farm to table, and that's incredible.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
To do it with animals is next level. And was there any pushback or like, because I just imagine like potentially there being like an emotional component to that of like, I feel bad. I'm eating my friend who I was just feeding on the pasture 2 weeks ago.
I think everyone will initially, I think every human has that response. I remember very clearly when my niece, one time, it kind of makes me sad to think about right now because I was there for it. When she was like, when she realized that chicken nuggets were chicken from a living being, and she had in her hand, and her realization that that was something that lived and now she's eating as a chicken nugget, you know, and gosh, she was probably 7 years old or something. Like she just didn't realize that what she was eating was that. And I think like all of us like, whoa, wait, like what are we doing? But again, I think out of respect, if there's difference, right? Like, cause we can just mindlessly eat and then there's really no connection from the body to what we just had from the earth. But again, to me, it is imperative to have that control of like, we are taken care of and being with this animal so that in return, it will nourish us later. And it's full respect. It's never, we never mindlessly eat that food. And that makes a big difference. But I'm sure, you know, all of them, it's the same thing. Honestly, I remember when one of my twins, first real, I told her that Santa wasn't real, you know, and it was like the most heartbreaking thing ever. It was so heartbreaking and traumatic to her that she forgot. And then the next year was on, right? So it's kind of like, it's just similar with like, yeah, this is a living creature. And we take care of it. We're spending time with it. Once a week, we're with it. And now now that Homer has passed, like now he's taking care of us. But I don't think you can really not like bypass that. Like, okay, cool. Like there's going to be some emotion to it for sure. It's the same thing as if you ever hunt an animal. Or for me, I harvested that turkey and I was losing sleep the night before. I was so nervous, so worried about what I would do to her. Tom was what we named him. Tom is also just a male turkey, so it's not like it's original. But you know, it was like I was scared because I've never hunted at that time, and I've never killed an animal like that. So it was a big deal for me.
Oh, I love that. I think you're so right. It's part of the human experience. And it's what a beautiful, like, honestly, you're inspiring me with my baby, my kid. Like, as a nutritionist and a biohacker, all these things, like, I want my kid to have that relationship with food because I just think it's so beautiful and so necessary. And we are so, as a society, we are so far removed from understanding where our food comes from. And even like, I remember traveling, we were in Africa, we were in Tanzania for a while, and we got fish, and the fish came with all the bones, the tail, and the head. And you look at it and you're like, oh, I'm eating fish. Like, this is a fish. Versus here, you go get salmon at the restaurant, and it's like this perfect fillet, and it doesn't look like a fish at all. And so there's just this natural disconnection we have from food, which we can like further take like natural disconnection from our body and from our health. And that's kind of like what leads to that.
Yeah, it's this connection, right? So the mindless eating of things. I mean, just like as a nutritionist, you know that, right? Like if I was to eat something and I mentally tell myself, it's the same thing as disconnection, but it's like if I'm about to have a slice of cake and I'm like, this is gonna be so bad for me, this is gonna be so bad for me, I'm gonna eat it. That is a world of a difference for our body's experience than, hey, I am gonna enjoy and be totally present and mindful with this cake right now, right? And I eat that. Like our gut biome and everything changes all by the way we're taking it. It's the same thing with eating. If we have gratitude while eating, that's just one of those things for me where it's just become a habit because I've done it for so long, is to just stopping at the food and being like, okay, hi, I'm eating and I'm present. And where did this food come from? And I'm very lucky where we live because I live up in Northern California in Sonoma County. And it's just so everything around me, I live in a no spray area. We're on 8 acres, but the entire valley is a no spray because all we have is biodynamic farms and biodynamic vineyards. So I back like all my property is a biodynamic vineyard. And it's like when we go out to eat, it's just common here. It's farm to table. So we have Michelin star restaurants that are farm to table. And that is normal. That is not normal everywhere else. So, but we're very grateful. If we choose to go out to eat, it's still going to be top, top level, top quality food. That's still locally sourced all right here.
I love what you said about the energy, though, like when you're eating. And what actually came to mind was how many like different cultures and religions pray before they eat. Because like you're saying, like you're actually changing what you're thinking before you put the food in your mouth, meaning like you're giving gratitude and you're pausing and you're not on your phone, disconnected, like stressed out, eating on the go. Like you're just sitting down praying or not praying, but like I just think there's a lot to that. And I wonder, I don't know, like I wonder how many people believe that you can actually change the way that your food is digested in your body by the thoughts that you have when you're eating it.
Yeah, I mean, it's putting you into a parasympathetic. So it's allowing us to be relaxed. Otherwise, if we're driving and eating, like, when you're in a fight or flight, one of the first things that goes when it comes to priorities, right? Because even though we're in a fight or flight while we're driving and someone cuts us off and we're angry, like our body doesn't know that. Our body's literally like, oh my gosh, there's a bear. Like we're sending the same signals as if there's a bear chasing us. So the first thing that goes is the blood to the stomach. So blood leaves the stomach because digestion is not important when you're running from a bear. And then, it starts to leave your brain so that you're not having long-term memory because you also don't need to remember anything while you're running from a bear, and blood goes to your legs and places to run, heart rate increase, all this, all from like, even though we don't always feel that, that's what's going on in our body. So like being able to sit there and relax and be really present, your body absorbs it, you utilize the nutrients and digest everything better too.
I love that. How would this tie into quantum wellness and quantum health, if at all?
Honestly, that couldn't have been a better transition over, Brittany, because it's we were just talking about fight or flight, right? And how quantum energy, which if we're going to get into, also let's just really fast, let's talk about the definition of quantum energy. So quantum energy is the energy at a subatomic level. So it's like the energy behind the matter. And a way to visualize that, my personal way to visualize that, I should say, is if you had a pen and a piece of paper, say you're writing with a pencil. Let's do a pencil. And you're writing on a pencil, on the paper with a pencil. And that space that's behind the lead and in between the paper is kind of like what the quantum space is, right? So it's not a positive energy and it's not a negative energy. And that's also kind of where the benefits occur because it's a neutralizing energy. So when you are exposing yourself to this like pure quantum energy, you are creating this very protective bubble wrap around your body, allowing you to be actually in a parasympathetic. So that's kind of where it equates to it because it will naturally put your body back into a parasympathetic. So you're kind of protecting yourself from any type of environmental external stressors like EMFs, mold, bacteria, stuff like that.
Okay, so is quantum energy and frequency the same thing in your mind? Or are those
No.
like, no? Okay, tell me the difference.
Well, frequency is actually like the act and the physical part of it. So everything is usually you could say like energy and frequencies. The quantum energy is actually the space. So it's like your quantum field. A lot of people know Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza always talks about getting into the quantum field. Now, quantum energy, again, because the frequencies are more passive and forward, while like quantum energy is it's more subtle at you. So it's like life force energy or subtle energy, they call it. So there's difference like with frequencies, which we utilize frequencies with our quantum energy. So they kind of go hand in hand in a way, but they're not the same.
Okay. Because I feel like people throw around the word energy all the time and frequency all the time. And so sometimes, like, especially, and like you are, obviously at work with a lot of like different brands and products and things like that. Like sometimes people will talk about the frequency and I just wonder how legitimate these products are when they say they can change the frequency of something. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, explain that to me. So, um, how does that compare to Leela? Let's start there.
Sure. So, with us, like on the quantum side too, with frequencies, energies, there's lots of forms of quantum. Just using the word quantum times to puts like a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths because when you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, you'll see all these like ads for like quantum patches and quantum this and that. And that's not the same thing that what we're talking about today. And it's the same thing like structured water. Like all these companies will claim structured water when it's not really the true structured water. And we see that a lot. So with the quantum we're talking about, it's more on the baseline of like quantum physics. And if people are looking for legitimacy for that, the 2022 Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded on the research with quantum entanglement, which is also part of what some of our technology is quantum entanglement. That's can go over a lot of people's heads real quick. And that's also kind of hard to grasp, because when you understand quantum and you learn about quantum energy, quantum entanglement, it really bends the way we would view reality moving forward, because it puts space and time in between things that really aren't there. If that makes sense, where it's kind of like I don't want to go too far in a tangent with quantum entanglement, but it's very important in a lot of our products and with frequencies, showing that there is no space and time in the quantum field. Like, that doesn't exist like we do out here in time. Like, we're talking about, you're in a totally different time zone than I am, and which means we're very, very, very far away from each other. But in the quantum field, there is no separation between you and I, and we are completely connected.
So, like, just for a second, let's just go down the rabbit hole for a second. Explain how that's possible to me. Like, in this quantum field, that there's no time and no space. How does that work?
Yeah. Well, so the way it works really is like with quantum entanglement, right? It's a concept that you have these two objects. They remain connected through informational coherence in a way, independent between the distance again. So like, I get an example like where you and I are, right? So it's different where we're at. The study that they did, that one, the research, right, was about, they took this cell that it was in Austria. And then they had another guy that had this, what they called entangled, so coherent cell, that was in Walnut Creek, California. It's just in the East Bay of San Francisco. Just coincidentally, it happens to be very close to where I live. And what they did was they poked this cell in Austria. And even to say instantaneously is still not the same amount of time. The cell in Walnut Creek reacted the same way without being touched. So a really cool fact that they learned this with quantum entanglement, and there are some people, if you want to really argue this, you could, but quantum entanglement, the information's direction from one place to another is faster than the speed of light. And the only reason you could really argue that is the speed of light is at point A to point B, when quantum entanglement is all existence. So there is no separation. So it's like, it's the same thing as, if we took something that was just galaxies away from us and we had one here, if you touched it, whatever was galaxies, billions of light years away in our mind, the way that we comprehend time, it would react instantaneously. So there is no separation of time when it comes into that. So that's what they discovered. And it's cool because, like, again, I keep talking about my twins. Twins are really cool because they're also a science experiment. It's always nature versus nurture. And they do a lot of studies where they take twins who are entangled, they like in many different levels, where they'll have twins on the opposite side of the country, and they tell one twin to sit down, and the other twin sits down too without any direction, just because of what they've done. My twins, I have a story that when they were 5 years old, I was inside the house with one of them while the other one was outside, and she was on her scooter and she broke her arm. She snapped it. Not just broke it, like it snapped like a rubber band. I looked, and my other twin who I was with grabbed her arm and fell down and started yelling as if it happened to her. So it happens in real life. It's one of those things where we're like, oh, a weird coincidence, or they're connected, but that is entanglement in the same way. It's just a different way that we're viewing it.
Wow. Do you think that there's a lot that actually, kind of like what you said, I guess maybe there's things that actually happen day to day and we just kind of excuse it as like coincidence, or that was odd, or that probably doesn't mean what we think that might mean. And we just kind of keep going because maybe we rationalize in our head, oh, this is not how the world works.
I think a lot of us have so much, including me, like, because there's a world of a difference. If I just have a day where I am in mindfulness and presence, my life experience with life is completely different than if it's a day-to-day Friday for me, where I'm doing this, and this, right? So I'm in my head. And that's a thing, especially for me, my personalities. I'm in my head all day. Like, I got to do this. I got to email this person. This person email me back, right? So like, I'm definitely not connected with things that are going on, or I won't be as mindful if something happens. Like back then, when that happened with my kids, the concept of like quantum entanglement never hit my mind. Like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, they're entangled and they saw this, right? It wasn't even a thought. So
Yeah.
I think it really matters where your mindset is with that and how present you are. But things happen all day around us. Like, again, we all have access to this quantum field. Like, when we're talking about the Leela products and everything, this quantum energy, A great example, again, is Joe Dispenza. You can access the quantum field at any time. It's always there for us, but who's utilizing it? A very small percentage. But no one invented quantum energy. It's been around since the existence of time.
Okay. Okay. So say everyone listening to this is like, I'm ready. I'm going to start using the quantum energy. Like, sign me up. I'm ready. So, like, how? Like, on an average day for the average mom who's working, listening to this podcast, and she wants to connect to it or see it more, like, where can she start?
Well, definitely with Joe Dispenza stuff. I mean, in terms of like just experiencing it, again, I'm assuming people know Joe Dispenza, with his manifestation and his coherence of everything of manifesting life and law of attraction. There's a lot of things he does, not just that. But, for us with Leela, what we do is we have everything about us. Again, we have over 65 double-blind placebo-controlled studies, but we also have a very the ball's in our court to always prove everything's working, because a lot of our technology, the most important part of the technology, is proprietary. And that is, how are we creating this very concentrated form of pure quantum energy? That's something that no other company has done and is yet to do. So that's why, like, that part we can't really talk about, like the how. But all of our products, whether it's jewelry, we have big blocks, we have frequency cards, all that are charged with that. And you're talking about, like, how do moms start with this? And also, where I would go is like, how do moms benefit? And how, like, right. So you're doing this, what are you benefiting from? And that's what's really cool with our products. Again, we have just an endless amount of double blind, placebo controlled. That's very important. That's why I keep saying that, because these aren't just studies that we pay and show, oh, we can see that there's this little benefit. Like, we have hundreds of people. Some of them don't, even the doctors and people, they don't know what's being done, and it's all blind to them until we get the results back. And things that we're seeing, again, basically where the benefit real can be, especially with a new mom, is as a mom is with your child. Of course, we want to do everything to protect is like the space. If you live anywhere, especially if you're in an apartment or something, like a Wi-Fi router, even if you or yourself are mindful where your Wi-Fi router is, you pretty much have no control over the person in front of you or up top, below you, to your side. Like, where is their Wi-Fi router? Is their Wi-Fi router right next to the crib or your own bed? And our products will actually neutralize the harmful effects that EMFs have on the body. And we can show this by quantifying data points like your HRV, your heart rate variability. Because when you are stressed, your heart rate variability drops. A lot of people, if you don't know HRV, maybe all your listeners have an Aura Ring. And the Aura Ring bases, their readiness score off of your HRV. So it's like, your HRV is low, and because you worked out too much yesterday, so take it easy. That means, like, your body is recovering and it's not fully there. We can look things at like calcium channels. We can look at dark field microscopy and see like how your blood starts to clot. Not clot like it's dangerous, like fatal, but your blood gets thicker, and that's obviously not a good thing. You want free flowing blood. So we can check all this stuff and how EMFs affect this, and also with your child, of course. And I also believe, children are way more sensitive to this type of stuff than we are. So all of our products are going to protect that. So one thing, and what do they call it? Like the fontanelli? Is that what it is? Like the right on the top of the head, like children. I think it's the fontanelli isn't fully grown for a certain amount of time. So you're wide open. I also, so we're always being told, and with the science and everything else, it's like, well, children are more sensitive to this type of stuff because also they have they have a gap right here, like literally, and it's like, so their brain isn't as protected as ours. I also, on a entire side note, I think they have more awareness beyond what's in this physical life because of that. I think they can see things that we're not seeing, because until they're a certain age, like everything is, once it closes off, I think it closes them off from like, the veil of other things. That's my personal opinion with that, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of like the telepathy tapes. It's like a podcast that basically talks about like kids being telepathic. Like with their moms and different things like that. And there's been like weird things that have even happened with my baby that I'm just like, I don't know. And I don't know, again, I don't know how that would relate to quantum energy. I don't know if that's even legitimate, I guess. But we go back to this whole rationalizing of like, oh, is that a coincidence? I don't know.
Well, I think it's entanglement. And whether we don't even have to use the word quantum entanglement, where it's entanglement. Like that is, those are your cells. Your baby is your cells that came from you, and and father, and now you have this thing. So it's you, like, in many ways. So I guess, like, of course you're going to be entangled in a way of like intuition and knowing. And I think that's a power that mothers have for sure.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about intuition when you were speaking. And I don't know. I've had some really weird okay. I've had some really weird things that have happened in the last couple of years where I don't want to say like I've predicted things, but like when my grandfather passed away in South Africa, I'm in Canada, like I knew. And I knew before my mom told me. And I said it to my husband. I was like, I'm pretty sure my grandfather just passed away. And then I was right. And then even that day, before my mom reached out to me, I got this message on my phone, and I don't have like my message previews on. And it was like a text message from her. And I knew, again, I was like, this is the text message that's going to tell me that my grandfather has passed away. And like, that's just one example of like this really, really strong intuition coming out of nowhere. I don't know how, where, why. Does that relate to quantum energy? Kind of like what you're saying here, even if it's not mom to child, same cells?
Well, where I would say that, like, to throw it in there to make it relevant is very much, we can go back to the parasympathetic. Like,
Mm.
I hate to say I know because we don't have the science and data, which I like to have, but like, I know very well that like females are way more intuitive than men. And I see that with my wife. I see that just with women in general. Like, they just know things. And it's like, I've always told my wife that, it's like, listen, even if I don't like what you're about to say, like, I'm going to have to believe you, because in terms of like, if she's like, you shouldn't do that, it's like, okay, it's intuitively, she knows, right? And she's always right. And I think, especially with where you will lose that ability again is, again, so if I'm sitting here under a cell tower, or I have my cell phone or Wi-Fi router, right? Then, or again, even for me, and I know we can talk about this all day, but like, I use an Apple Watch, I use my AirPods, but because I'm also protected by quantum energy, so I'm not having those effects, right? But if I am having these effects, that means I can't be present. I'm in a low key fight or flight mode, and there's no way I can be like intuitive and be in fight or flight at the same time. So they don't go together, right? Like, so you need to be in that parasympathetic, you need to be in that alpha brain wavelength, to, I think, receive all that intuitive stuff. And going into the alpha brain wavelengths, brain wavelengths are another way we study and measure and quantify the effects that EMFs and everything else have on our body. And we just did this study, and it is the most mind-blowing study I've ever seen with any of this stuff. That's like, I just get too excited because it's like, you can see it. These are things that you can watch with your own eyes, and you're like, how is this possible? And do you by chance remember Dr. Drew, from like Loveline? It was an American staple as kids. So like, that's how we actually got our true like sex education, was on these like this radio call at 10 o'clock at night where people would call in, and he was with Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew. Well, Dr. Drew has his own show, everything now. So we flew him out to this place in Austria where we did these brain scans, and we have these 256 channel EEG devices, which don't exist in the United States. We tried Jim Hart from BioCybernaut, Andrew Hill at the Peak Brain. They're like, those don't exist. They're like millions of dollars for these machines. They don't exist in the United States. So we went to Austria and we got these studies done. And Dr. Drew went out there and they watched all this stuff. And we did it on these like a world champion boxer and a bunch of other people. But what we saw is what we did with this, we took, technically can't say what it is, but let's say it's the newest generation, most popular cell phone there is, right? And we put it up to someone for 30 minutes. And what we did is we got their brain scans, their brain wavelengths, everything that's going on with their brain and how it's reacting to the EMFs. And we did that for 30 minutes. And then what we did is we exposed them to one of our products with pure quantum energy, which, remember I said, it harmonizes and neutralizes the harmful effects that EMFs have on our body. So this wasn't something where it was like, 10 minutes later. When we introduced the technology, it was instantaneous. And what we found, which is what's real, this is what's crazy. And I'll explain this stuff in a second, but we saw a gamma decrease. So gamma and beta are what you kind of don't want. They're what cause, when your beta and gamma are like super active, that's when you become anxious, you become depressed, you have more negative thoughts, it's more chaos, right? And what we saw was a 77.6% decrease in gamma. And we saw an 82.9% decrease in the beta activity. And then in return, we saw a 1,300% increase in alpha. And alpha is where alpha and theta are the ideal places to be. It's kind of like your flow state. It's your calmness. It's where you can retain information. You're relaxed, again, parasympathetic. And flow state's always really important regardless. That's, that's always the key. That when we talk about all these biohacks that athletes, I work with a ton of athletes. And at the end of the day, their gold nugget is flow state. Because if you want to be that pitcher that can throw a no-hitter or any of that stuff, like you need to be in a flow state. So that's always the high performing. They can do everything physically, but like, how do they hack their brain? It's to be in a flow state with a high alpha activity. And that's what we're seeing with our products. So that's really cool too, by the way. So I don't want to tangent with that, but it's really cool with like what the brain does and being intuitive and allowing yourself to be more intuitive and more present and what benefits that bring to you.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I love that. I've just been thinking about intuition a lot. And how can we tap more into it? And like, what are the benefits from it? And yeah, and even with longevity, tied into longevity as well, I think is very interesting. So when we talk about the products that Leela has created, so people can understand better. So for example, like the travel block or the necklace. So say they're like, okay, I want to be in the alpha state more. I understand that these products can help me get there. So how does that work? Like if I wear the necklace every single day, is it a field around me? Or like, can you just explain, I guess, a bit more about like how the products
Yeah, it's
work
a great
if you have them
question.
in your house or on you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have products all over my house here, sometimes in my office here. I mean, here's a frequency card, right? So this is literally the size of a credit card. It's the same thickness, everything as a credit card. And this very specific one is the abundance frequency. And I'm not doing this just for the podcast. They're all over. So this one right here is for like resurrection, which is trauma, all of that. I have a block behind me too. Everything. I actually wear right now. I have three different capsules on. So I wear them differently like that. And again, that's why I'm in a very high EMF area. You and I would not be able to be having this conversation if it wasn't for the luxury, I will say, or the advanced technology of EMFs, right? And that's what the goal is. It's not to block them. You can of course use Faraday cages and block EMFs entirely, but our goal is to work in a synergistic way so that you can still have these, again, luxuries and technologies and advancements while not being affected by the way that we're measuring it. But at a very bottom baseline, every single product we have is charged with the pure quantum energy. So that is going to be the harmonization and the neutralization of EMFs and the negative effects they have on the body. That's very baseline. The other benefits that we see and this is with every single product we have, these are the baseline. Okay. The differences are going to be how you utilize them and the frequencies that we've infused in them. But with just the pure quantum energy, we see an increase in white blood cell count. We see an improvement of oxygenization. We see an increase in ATP production up to 29%. So those are things that all of our products do. Doesn't matter what you get. Again, that's the baseline. And then you would want to choose what product you want based off of maybe the frequencies. So we have things that are like brain support, heal capsules, the Heal 360, which the Heal 360 capsule is our most famous. It's our more popular one by far. And it's a great place to purchase as an investment to see the benefits. And then you can move on from there and see like, okay, I feel really good with this. And most people, the most common thing is like, I don't know what it does, but it makes me feel good. We hear that all the time, right? All the time. People are like, listen, I don't know what this really, I can't explain it, but it makes me feel good. So that, it's just a feeling that you're going to get because you're removing, again, so these work as a bubble, right? So if you have the capsule on, it's a bubble of your whole body. Within like 3 feet out of you, it's going to be like it's the quantum field. So it's like again, you're bubble wrapping yourself. You're protecting yourself from cell towers, your cell phone, your neighbor's Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi, everything that's around you, right? So it's really amazing when you're flying. And again, that's why I feel comfortable having, AirPods, Apple Watch, all that around because I am protecting myself from this. And I've been doing it for 6+ years and haven't had any issues. And I monitor my heart rate, I monitor my HRV, all that stuff myself, and there's no difference. So that's what's really cool. Our blocks, so our travel blocks are really cool because the travel block is the smallest. And that's amazing because it goes perfect, like, especially for new moms. It's one of my favorite things because it's like if you're going to have a crib or like a nursery, it's a block that will not harmonize that entire space where your baby is sleeping and your baby might spend most of its time. We have large blocks. We have blocks that are so big you can put like 2 bags of like grocery bags in them. So my wife, anytime we go to like Whole Foods or anywhere local, she puts all that food inside those blocks, and that's going to harmonize and neutralize the food. It actually brings them back to their organic state. And we also did a study showing that when you are exposing them to quantum energy, we see up to a 90% stress reduction of that food on the body. So sugar, lactose, gluten, all that type of stuff. I'm severely allergic to crab, honey, and avocado. And if I put any of that under the block, I can eat it with no problem. We did this presentation at Dave Asprey's biohacking conference in front of like 1,000 people, where we did a derma roller on my wrist and put crab meat on it. And then it just looked like 1,000 bees had stung me. It looked so bad. We took that same crab meat and we put it under the block for about 5 minutes. And we did my other arm, and there was no reaction whatsoever. I could eat it. So there's a lot of things to do with the block. Now, of course, you can't really do that with the capsules. You can't do that with the frequency cards. The blocks, you can transfer frequencies too. So if you have a larger block, you could be taking all of your vitamin supplements, putting those inside the block, and then take a piece of metal, jewelry, a ring, a necklace, whatever you have, and you put it under there, and that will absorb those frequencies. So now that you can wear like a vitamin B and vitamin C and vitamin E and A capsule kind of thing, which is kind of, that's what we do with our if you buy a capsule directly from us, that's what we've done. So some of these capsules have like 100 different types of frequencies added to them. So it's just like a whole wellness vitamin in a way. So we have things like bracelets, we have hats. We also do have EMF blocking clothing for people that are severely allergic. We have jackets, hats, beanies, we have t-shirts. And those are also still charged with quantum energy, but we have a whole, we have food containers for dogs and cats. We have dog collars, cat collars.
Cool.
We have a whole, I mean, pretty much anything you can imagine in terms of useful products we have. We have coasters and the blocks too. So, and the blocks are cool because they extend upwards to like a half a mile. So like if you want to protect your house, like if you were in an apartment, I would personally have a block, because then you're also protecting yourself from your neighbor's Wi-Fi, and also just protecting your neighbor from your neighbor's Wi-Fi. It's a nice little harmonization.
Yeah. I have 2 of your blocks. One is beside my bed, one is beside the Wi-Fi router, but sounds like I only need one from how much.
Yeah. Now, are they the same block? Are they the exact same block? Or are they different?
No, they're the same block.
Yeah. So do you know which one is it? One with like the 3 plates or the 1 plate?
3.
Yeah, so that's our Infinity block, and that's a really powerful one. And even off air, I can talk to you about how to upgrade that. So when you have 2 of them, you can increase the power of one of them by a certain way, which I can talk to you about how to do that. But that one's very powerful, and it's still good to have 2 of them, because now the most impactful part of that block is the inside, and as it goes out, it gets a little weaker. But you have the EMF neutralization for upwards to like a kilometer. So you could still have one, across the house from the other, and you're still like, have one near you where you sleep, have one next to the Wi-Fi router, and be good.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you. So like with the blocks, or even if people got the travel block, they put it in a kid's room or they put it in their car. Mine's in my car. If it radiates outwards and changes everything around it, why would you necessarily add groceries inside the Infinity block if it changes around it? But like you're saying, it's different in between the 2 plates.
Significantly stronger. Yeah. So, I mean, for example, you could take water, which we work with the Emoto Institute, which is really cool. A lot of people know Emoto from like the messages from water, putting positive words on water and what does it do, all that stuff. A lot of people know those studies. Well, we worked at the Institute where we took our products to them. And as far as I know, we are the only product that they've tested that they immediately turned around and was like, we want to sell your products at our institute because of the impact of the water. So that being said, if you put a glass of water under the block, it's going to change its structure value. Now, again, in a scientific level, the concept of structuring is very wide. So there's different levels of structuring, revitalization, and spring water, all that, but we're adding the frequencies to it. Now, if you put that water outside the block, it could take 20 minutes to charge compared to, 20 seconds inside the block. Same thing with food. Like you want to put everything under there and charge it at a high level compared to just like having it around you.
Wow. And how long would it last? Like, so say I put like my wedding rings in there and then I take them out. How long do I have to do it again? What does that look like?
Forever.
Forever.
It's metal. If it's metal, it's forever. It'll hold the vibration. And what's really cool is, again, we can't there's certain things that we just can't scientifically measure at this point. But what we can do, and we have people who we work with, even we don't call them healers or just energetically aware people, that they can pick out which jewelry and what pieces have been charged and which ones haven't, because they can see the vibration and feel the vibration. So if you're really intuitive, we have people that constantly can do that. And they can do the same thing with food. They're like, that food was under the block. That food wasn't. That blackberry was, this one wasn't. Like they just know because they can see that it is vibrating at a different frequency and a vibration than the other ones are. Even though we can't always see that, like I sure can't. I get that, I can't. But I've been there plenty enough to see someone be like, that was, that wasn't, that wasn't, that was. And they just know. Even through like on a Zoom call right now, they could be like, oh yeah, your necklace you're wearing has been under the block, and they'll know.
Yeah.
So it's there for sure.
Right. And then with something like food, would it lose its frequency? Like how long does that last?
We haven't done any studies with that. I do know Ian Mitchell did a study at Wizard Sciences, who I work with as well, where we quantum charge our supplements. And Ian found that those supplements were fully charged for up to 3 months without that's a little different, but that's where we found that the efficacy of digestion, which we had a 23 to 30% increase using the Leela technology on our supplements, was 23 to 30% more effective on digestion. And Ian says those results lasted 3 months.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. So I feel like I need to start charging all my supplements and maybe potentially move my block to my supplement corner, charge them. And I think you guys have a chart, I remember, on your website that says like
how long to charge things.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I need that again because I think it's not very long though. It's like 5 to 10 minutes or sometimes even a few minutes, right?
Not even that. Yeah. I mean, literally like 30 seconds to a minute tends to be really good. You can do whole bottles or each time. And again, from what we see, and the thing is like with Ian's findings, we don't know if that's because of the type of capsule, like was it a veggie capsule or glycerin? Like we don't know the caveats that are variables there. Why did those last 3 months? Some might only last a few weeks, some could last a year. Like if it's a liquid, I have a feeling if it's a liquid, it could last longer because liquids can hold memory longer. So that's totally my assumption, but we just don't know that stuff yet.
So what happens if I like put my leg through the block?
Yeah, that's a cool thing. And that's one reason we have a grand block. Like the grand block is big enough. My wife like hangs out in there. So
whoa, it's that big. I haven't seen that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a dog can, like I said, you can literally put at least two, like it's not big enough like where she just can stand up, of course, but she can, like I can lay in it and it'll have my whole chest. So it's like 20 inches or something like that, like 18, 20 inches tall, like, so you could scoot into it and have everything going on. So when you have that, what we're seeing instantly is better blood flow, and just everything else that's going on with you again. So like if you have a wound, we saw a 200% increase in wound healing. Like being exposed, like if you have a cut or something and you put it under the block, I would do that honestly for like 15 or 20 minutes. And we see a 200% increase in wound healing.
So how would that work? Like, what if it's a wound from a while ago? Or does it have to be like recent?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I would say more recent because, what's happening is, my opinion on this, and I'm pretty sure it's correct with this, is the whole source of healing is blood. So getting blood flow to places is how you're going to get healing for anything. If you have a torn ligament, that's why you put BPC 157 on an injury, because it acts as a magnet to get blood flow to those places, right? And that's why they invented BPC 157 was for ulcers. They couldn't find a place to get blood to the ulcers. BPC 157 goes that spot, and that is what it was invented for, was to heal. It was to reverse ulcers. And so very similar is blood is the source of all healing. And with the Leela blocks, all this product and it's not even so much that it's like, hey, it's the quantum energy that is forcing the blood flow to be better. What's happening again is you are now putting yourself into a bubble wrap where you are no longer having to focus and worry on external factors. Our mitochondria, are extremely resilient. Most people, there's so many people who have had like Lyme disease for 20 years and they don't realize it. It's because your body was able to protect you from those symptoms. Now put yourself under a cell tower or put yourself in a moldy house, and now your mitochondria is like, well, I can lay off the symptoms of the Lyme disease, but now I got to protect myself from cell towers and mold. And then it all comes crashing in, and all of a sudden you have all these symptoms, right? And it's very similar where it's like if you protect yourself, like if you have an injury, your mitochondria right now is like, okay, I've got to put like 15, it's just a budget every day. I got to put 15% into protecting from the cell tower or the Wi-Fi router or whatever it is. But I can give maybe 20% of me today can go to wound healing because I need to focus on protecting myself from this, right? If you can take all that away, take away all that like noise, your body can go, oh, I have a wound. I'm going to give 90% to the wound healing today. And it's going to be faster, right? So it's not so much that we are making the healing faster. We're creating an environment where it can actually just heal faster because it doesn't have to worry or stress about anything else going on. It can do its job. So like that's my view on like why we see that increase of it. So when you have something that's like an old like an old scar or something, I wouldn't really say that it would heal the scar, but injuries, it can for sure. We see people with like knee injuries, inflammation and stuff like that. They can put their knee under the block and it'll become more mobile and because the blood's flowing there. It's important.
Right. Yeah. So the reason I ask is I had a C-section, unplanned. Like I found out my baby was breached 2 weeks before, whatever. We don't have to go into that. So I've done a lot of work to heal, but I still have like some tightness in my abdomen. And like you said, like the blood flow isn't that great to the C-section scar anymore. We're 15 months postpartum now. So I'm just thinking, and for all of the women listening who've gone through birth, who are like maybe trying to increase blood flow, heal, whether vaginal or a C-section, like what can we do on this plane that we're talking about right now of like for healing above and beyond, just pelvic floor physiotherapy?
Yeah, putting your lower area under the block would be huge for sure because just there's so much going on there. There's so much like physical trauma, right, that's been occurring that all the blood flowing, rushing inflammation and allowing your body, because again, our bodies are so resilient. It can fix things. But when you've got 20 other things that are yelling at us to stress us out, like then it slows things down. So if you can quiet that noise and just be under there, it can heal faster and heal the way it should really. So again, it's faster because it doesn't have to focus on anything else. It's the main point.
Right. But I mean, I can't fit that part of my body in that block.
So what you could do, Brittany, but what you could really do actually, I'm sorry that this information hasn't been provided to you in the past, but you can take apart that block so that you have three and then three, and you just put it in between you. Like, so like you don't have to it doesn't have to be attached with those columns. You can separate them and then just kind of lay in between them.
So like, where do the poles go that connect it though? Like
you don't need the poles. Yeah, you don't need the poles. In fact, on our website, we sell these little poles that just make it so it's just three plates and 3 plates. And then so they stay attached to each other. So you don't really need that. So you just need to be in between the plates.
Oh, so that's it. Just in between the plates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
That's what's important.
Doesn't matter what side of the plates, which one's on top. Wow. No. I did not know that.
Yeah, sorry about that because that's also good feedback because it's an important thing. And maybe we just need to show that more. Like we make products for that so that you can do that when you have like bigger things and whatever, and you can put it on and just sit in between. You can have them like 3 or 4 feet between each other. I do that with plants. Like if we have big plants that aren't doing well, my wife will take one side of the Infinity block and the other and put them in between it. So you can separate.
So then I could take apart my blocks and then I would put one on my belly and then one like under my back and lie down essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And do that.
Or on your sides.
I guess.
Yeah.
Or on my side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or on. Yeah. So like technically. Yeah. I can give you those details. I'm happy to help you with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious, but I don't need to do it every night though, right? Or like how often, if we're talking about body parts?
I would do it like 15 minutes a day, 15 to 45 minutes a day. I would do. It just really depends
Okay.
on the severity of it. Like people are like broken wrists. For example, like, and I always like how did when I look at companies, one thing I find out is I always want to talk to the owner. And I'm like, how do you use this stuff? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, okay, we have all these people are doing stuff. And we at Leela, we have some amazing Telegram groups with over 8,000 people where you can see how people every day, it's so active too. And you can see how people are utilizing it. But it's always like, okay, I want to know how Philip's using it. Philip is the creator of all this stuff, right? And, Philip, by the way, was a global vice president of T-Mobile. So like he was on the other side of the spectrum with the EMFs and everything and then came to create this. So like that's why he's like, let's use these technologies for good while still being able to be in it, right? And I've been very close with Philip for about 6 years. And his son his son is like an extreme sport guy and he's so successful at everything has done. His son's name is Leela. So he for a very long time was competitive motocross. And one time he fell off his bike and he landed on it. Like he did a big jump and he shattered both of his wrists. The first thing they did when he was in the ER was bring blocks for him to put his wrists in, and it's like, that shows you how much he stands behind everything, that it's like, that's the first thing he's getting is those blocks in his wrists, like to help with pain and recovery right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't women, or men listening to, like, I think you have a women's health capsule for your necklace.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, we do.
Couldn't I just wear that and like get benefit from that?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. So anything we have, every product will give you all the benefits that we've talked about. The only difference is the frequencies added, right? So the women's health is going to have frequencies of supplements that help with hair, bone, skin, and nail health, as well as helping like balance hormones. So what these do, by the way, is when we're talking about the frequencies that it's putting into the field, is it's creating this availability. So it's not forcing these vitamins on you. So it's not like you're gonna do this, go get a blood test, and all of a sudden you're really super high in biotin. What it does is it puts it available in the space so that your body can utilize what's needed. I have shown this back in 2016. I did it when I got into this to debunk quantum energy, by the way, Brittany. In 2016, I was like, quantum is a joke. It's a scam and I'm going to do this. And that's why I'm so adamant and excited nowadays, because I was shifted, because what I did is I wore a necklace. I went and got a SpectraCell micronutrient test. I did all this myself. I paid for it. Back then they were like $600 a test. And I got a baseline of my nutrients, my micronutrients. And I'm a monotonous eater. So I eat the same thing all the time. And 40 days later, after that, I went and I got tested and I saw all my levels. I saw what I was deficient in. And I started wearing this quantum necklace with all the micronutrient frequencies. And 40 days later, I got tested again and everything was optimal. Nothing was over, nothing was under. Everything was along the optimal line. And then 40 days later, I got the same test. 40 days later, I got the same test. Everything was optimal. I took the necklaces off. 40 days later, the same levels were deficient that were originally deficient back almost a year and a half ago when I'd taken it. So like that, of course, that's not hardcore Harvard science, but that was enough for me to go, holy cow, there really is something to this. So it shows though, because nothing was over, there was no toxic or high levels. It shows that it's making it available so that our body can say, because again, everything is vibration and frequency, right? And it's like if you can grasp that and understand that you can recreate a frequency of vitamin C, it's not so much that vitamin C is a substance that we're absorbing, it's information. So once that's absorbed, right? So think about it like the sun. Vitamin D, it's not like a substance that's brought into us. It's a frequency. It's a wavelength that enters our eyes from the sun, right? It's a certain wavelength, enters our eyes as information to say, okay, now do your job. Collagen, create the vitamin D, all this stuff, right? So it's all like from frequency based, but we're all thinking like vitamin D is this solid substance, but it's like real vitamin. All these things are really just starting out as a frequency. It's a wavelength through our eyes. It sends a signal for us for our body to produce vitamin D. Think about that with all the other vitamins too, though. It's like, it's just information. It's not a real substance that we're absorbing and taking in. It's just like everything that's going on. That can be hard for people to understand. I totally get that because it's new. But it's like, again, Tesla and all them say everything is vibration and frequency. And those were the modern geniuses of everything that was going on in our lives nowadays. They're so far ahead.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I think I had at one point the women's necklace. I think I lost it in my move. I'm going to try find it because I do want to wear it again. And I am going to take apart my block tonight. Like when I'm watching Netflix or whatever, I'm going to add it to my like stack of things I do in front of the TV, wind down type of thing. But you know what's so interesting? I was just thinking about this. So we have a house, we live on a street, and there's like a pond down the road a bit. And a turtle laid its eggs in our front yard in the summer. And we've lived in this house just for like 2 years. And apparently, I was just asking the neighbors, they're like, it's never happened before. We've seen the turtle, like, never happened to anyone else's yard. And then they're like, oh, like the chance of the turtles like surviving is not very high. And I was like, I marked it on my calendar. Anyway, 90 days later ish, 12 baby turtles were born in my front yard, which was incredible, like incredible to see. And we took them to the pond with my son, all this stuff. And now I'm just wondering, like frequency wise, quantum wise, whatever we want to say, I look at the houses on my street, which I'm looking at right now behind you, is like, how many other places on this street have these things, your products in this house? Like what is my house giving out that these other houses aren't? And like, do animals pick up on that? That like the turtle was like, oh, this is a safe place to like lay my eggs. Which they've never done before here.
That's a lot to do with magnetism too, right? So birds know where north and south is because of magnetites in their blood, things that we tend to have if we're EMF sensitive. And animals in general, for sure, are attracted to these because it is just a bubble of calmness and harmony, right? So we, again, in the Telegram group, you see all the time people are like, oh my gosh, I bought a block and my cat won't leave it. I live out, like I said, I have 8 acres and the neighbors who aren't that close at all to me, one's on 60 acres, the other's 40 acres, and the other's like 20 acres. I'm on the smallest prop, but they will laugh because they're like, hey, since you moved here, the mountain lions aren't here, the bobcats aren't here, the coyotes aren't here, the foxes and the deer. And, it's cool to think like, hey, yeah, I have deer and turkey. Deer and turkey are nuisances. Like if you live with them, like they're cool to see, but they eat your garden. I have a 2.5 acre garden here. And It's like, yeah, good luck keeping everything because they eat the olives, they eat the turkey and the deer eat everything, right? So all my neighbors are so happy because I talk to them about this stuff and they're like, thank you. Because now, first off, I don't have to my neighbor's like, hey, they're better on your property because I'm not killing them because he owns a winery and he will just shoot the turkeys because they eat all the grapes. But everything comes to our property. And since we've been at this place, they're not anywhere else. And they hang out. I have so many I have stories on my Instagram all the time where the deer lay against my house. So they actually come up and lay against my house and they lay against. So I have this, like a 2,000 square foot work office where I'm at that's detached from my house. And I have blocks and stuff in here.
Oh, cool.
And the deer and the turkey hang out all down here all the time.
Oh my God.
So birds and everything. So for sure, wildlife and everything is like, they can feel that safe space that it is because they don't have the EMFs, the outside stressors. So they hang out for sure. One time I had a bird. We used to have a really big window and unfortunately birds would run right through it and they'd always die. They'd hit the, going full speed. And I made a story on this. I think I even made a reel on my Instagram with it where it's like this bird, as soon as it hit, I took one of my Infinity blocks immediately outside next to it and put it inside the block. And I turned it upside down. So I wasn't touching the bird, but it was on its side. And, within 15 minutes, that was the first bird ever to survive. And again, I'm not saying it was that, but it was the only bird I've seen live. All of them died. And there's something about either the healing of it or whatnot that allowed it to come back. And that's not a normal thing. But I did a whole reel because I'm like, let's see if something does this. I documented the whole thing where the bird survived. Just a little bird and it just flew away.
I love that. Oh, animals are just so cool. They pick up on so much that we don't, or like that we ignore. Depends what you want to believe. But this has been incredible. We're going to hop over to my private community. You're going to answer some of the questions from everybody in there. Before we leave this main podcast, if people want to try Leela's products, where can they go and how can they connect with you?
Yeah, Leela Quantum. And Leela is spelled Leela, quantum.com, or actually new Leela Q, like Q-tip, just leelaq.com is probably easier. You can find everything on there. Our social media is Leela Quantum Technology. And another thing I'd invite to talk about, we didn't get to talk about it and because it's really heavy, is we did touch on quantum entanglement. And we have another company called Quantum Upgrade. And that is a complete digital service of quantum entanglement with these frequencies. And we have a free trial. And with that free trial, you do not have to put any credit card information, no payment information in, and you can at least test it that way. And it's kind of a cooler way to be exposed to quantum energy if you want, because you can add frequencies and you're protecting your body for the 7 days of the free trial. And we're not going to charge your credit card because you're not putting anything in there. You can just try it out. But our Heal capsule is by far the most popular and what I would suggest people start with at Leela Q, because it's a good investment and in terms of where the starting prices are, and then you can get a gist of how it's going to affect your body in a positive way.
Amazing. Yeah, I think I need to get another one. Thank you so much for this. I will put this in the show notes and on my website so everyone can find you easily. Thank you for listening to Biohacking with Brittany. I hope today's conversation gave you something to take into your own life, a practice, a perspective, or simply a reminder to trust your body. If you love this episode, please leave a review, share it with someone else who could benefit, and join me over on Instagram at BiohackingBrittany for more. And if you're ready to go deeper, you can explore my retreats, community, favorite tools, all linked for you in the show notes. Until next time, remember, your body already knows.